Hello. Hey, Miss Antoinette. Thanks for joining. You guys, we're going to get started in just a couple minutes. I just wanted to make sure I joined a couple minutes early so everybody got the notification that it was going to be live, to remind them if they didn't know, but to also let them know that I'm fixing to be live. Super excited. If you haven't seen the advertisements, I'm going live with someone that I met a couple years ago. Her name is Precious, and she's a trichologist. So we're going to be talking about hair loss and hair loss in the salon. So, pardon me as I look away just for a minute or two. I'm trying to figure out how to get myself live also on my laptop. It doesn't seem to do that. Let's see if I do. So apparently that doesn't work. So I know I'm not the only one that talks to themselves when they're trying to figure out technical stuff. I'm going to go ahead and take this. Hopefully Miss Precious will be joining us soon. But for those of you that are already here, if you've never met me before or don't know anything about me, my name is Devin. I go by Devin Curly Girl basically across the board. Here on my Instagram, my Facebook, my website, everything is Devin Curly Girl. I'm a hairstylist who specializes in curls. I'm also an educator and coach, and I'm also sticking my toe currently into the health world. So I am the new year, new me, kind of like so many people. Actually, about 2 years ago, I lost about 70 pounds, and with the way last year happened, like so many people, I definitely put some of my weight back on. So I'm back on that journey. So you can follow my Instagram page here. You'll start seeing some of that pop up. I am currently doing keto, so if you're into that, I'm definitely here if you have questions about that. But tonight's all about hair. So I've been in the industry for 15 years. I've always had curly hair, and it's just kind of always been a part of me. And I definitely realized as I got into the industry that there was just such a missing link between hairstylists and clients in the education us as hairstylists were getting or not getting from hair school to even what's offered to us, even to this day, is so limited. And to be honest, it's kind of expensive. I mean, an average curl class is about $1,200 or more. And then when we're open, or when we can go back to traveling more and doing stuff, you have your travel costs and stuff like that. And, you know, one class doesn't tell you everything, so you need to go multiple times. So definitely it's out there more, and I'm very proud to be part of Diva Curl's education team. I am what they call a curl coach. So I was traveling around to other salons, and currently I do it virtually, but I teach them about our products, how to use them, about curly hair. And even if somebody wants to step out further into that, they can definitely take curl cutting classes with brands like Diva Curl. So that's kind of a little bit of everything that I have going on, but I kind of want to share with you guys too, while we're waiting on Precious. I'm part of a coaching group that we are turning into a business, and it's been so exciting to watch and be part of this because I've learned so much from doing this. I never would have known how to start a podcast or how to start certain business parts or how to make email sequencing, things like that. My eyes have been opened and I've learned so much, and I'm excited to see what's going forward. So we're called the Beauty Crew. I actually shared it in my stories here, and you're going to see it pop up more. But it's a group, our coaching group has got together. We are starting a podcast and a business together. You can join us live next Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern, and you're going to meet us all live. And I'm so excited about that. I'm so excited to be with these girls again, not just virtually, but in person. Yeah, I'm super excited. So really, if you're a hairstylist and you're on here tonight, you're in the beauty business or just maybe want to get started in the beauty business, you're going to want to follow our page. It's called the Beauty Crew Podcast on Facebook. And we're basically just going to talk about everything about life, what it's like to be a hairstylist or in the beauty industry, what our issues are, what our lives are, what it's like to be moms for those of us that are moms, to just a little bit of everything. I'm so excited to be able to do that and for us to share that just because we're hairstylists, we're not just hairstylists. We can do anything that we want. And that's really, I think it's a movement for us for hairstylists, one, that we want everybody to know that we're essential, but also for women too, just to know that we're not just women, we're not just wives, we're not just a nurse. I see Stacy's on here, and I see Miss Antoinette's on here. So we're not just hairstylists, we're not nurses, we're not just moms, we're all these other things, and that's what the podcast is all about. So if you guys are available, please, well, if you're available, watch us next Sunday night at 6 p.m. If you are not, or just want to follow us in general, join us on the Facebook page, The Beauty Crew Podcast, and it's BEAUTI Crew. You can also find that by my link here, or my bio here on my Instagram page. If you will jump up to the top, you'll open it up in the links. It'll say my Beauty Crew. If you'll follow that, that will actually take you to the Facebook page, and you can go ahead and join and follow us there. I'm so excited about tonight. So while we're still waiting on Precious to join us, I just want to make sure she's not messaging me or anything over here on my computer. You guys, if you have questions specifically about hair loss, if you want to go ahead and drop those in the comments, I'll be sure to ask her about those or work those into our conversation tonight. Just want to make sure I'm not missing her. You gotta love technology sometimes. Hi, Lila. Hey, Christy. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you guys supporting me with this. I appreciate all of you guys for supporting me with this. I definitely think if you've never been live and done that, been intimidated, I'm not usually somebody that's afraid to talk in front of people, but it's a whole different ball game when you're doing it in front of a lot of people, or you're doing it to educate or to share or to teach things. It's a little bit different. So, but I love it. Doesn't mean I don't mess up. And that's the other thing I'm going to tell everybody while we're waiting. Don't wait for everything to be perfect to do something about it. That's something I've definitely learned recently. Hey, Kai. I think I've always been one that's like, I'm not done with it, or what if this happens, or how does that happen? Quit worrying about the what ifs and just sticking your toe out there and doing it. And I'm so excited. Thank you, Christy. But if you were to talk to any of the girls in the Beauty Crew with me, they would tell you that I think I've always been pretty good at this, but how I show up tonight will be different than I showed up 2 weeks ago, or 4 weeks ago, or 6 weeks ago. I think it's just about getting out there, practicing, doing it, and showing up, really. So, I know you guys have some questions about hair loss. Why don't you go ahead and post those so I can make sure that we ask them. Let me message Miss Precious and see where she is. So I met Precious actually a couple years ago, actually in the same kind of coaching group, but it was a different group of us, and the original group has dissolved into some other things. But Precious is actually a trichologist. And I probably honestly read the book, read it in my cosmetology book when I was in school, but forgot all about it, what it is and what they do. So I really wanted her to join us tonight to let me see. Oh, she's coming. I really wanted her to join us tonight so we could talk about not only what she does, but if you've been behind the chair this year, I feel like this year has been different more than any other year, as far as in the fact that I feel like I'm constantly having the conversation at this point about people having struggle with their hair care. Let me invite Precious here. Care in general. And what I mean is they're talking about their hair's drier, or maybe they feel like their hair's thinning, or it's not as thick as it was. Hey, Precious.
Hi guys.
I kind of got ahead of you a couple minutes telling them kind of why I kind of asked you to join me tonight and everything. I
Oh,
was
you're
telling them
fine.
that I have in this, I think as a hairstylist, we have the conversation about hair loss, frequently, especially as we morph into clientels that, I hate to say older, but, as we all get older, our hair thins and we start having those problems. But this year
Yes,
alone, I think I've been saying it since March or April. I call it COVID hair. I think, and I don't mean that you were sick and had COVID, but what I mean is COVID has caused all of this stuff that has made our
yes,
lives more stressful, that is causing a lot of the issues. And I'm not exaggerating. I can see 8 people a day, and 6 or 7 out of the 8, I hear my
yes,
hair is so dry, my hair is thinning out, my hair is breaking off, and having these conversations. And well, I think I know what the issue is for myself for most of these things. I definitely wanted to reach out so that I felt more prepared to have these conversations, but that other
yes,
people in the industry could have these conversations with people. So I have reached out to Miss Precious that has joined us, and I'm kind of just kind
yes.
of give her the floor because I kind of want her to tell us about her, how she got to what she does, and what a trichologist really does. So if you don't mind, Precious, I'm going to turn it over to you for a few minutes.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So thank you so much for having me, guys. And yes, so as Devin mentioned, so yes, I am a certified trichologist. So I've been at this for some years now. So I started off my background actually as a cosmetologist. And after experiencing hair loss myself on 2 occasions, thank God I was able to grow my hair back. That's what really got my wheels turning and was, just realizing that there's a need for hair loss because, once that hair loss starts, and if you don't, start addressing it right away, the longer that you let it prolong or lapse, the more you risk, of your hair not growing back, and it could be permanent damage and it won't grow back. So yes, so as Devin mentioned, my name is Precious Rutlin. So I'm a hair root cultivator, as I call myself, also known as a trichologist. And so what I do is I partner with mid-career women, and I really show them how to get to the root cause of their hair loss. Because what I find is that not every woman wants to wear a wig, and I totally get it. And so I'm just made it my mission to help women to get to the point where wearing a wig is optional, and not a must. And so that's where my background has come in, because I've walked the walk, I've talked the talk, so I know exactly, what they're going through and how I can give some direction. And so now, as Devin was just mentioning, so there's a lot of people they haven't heard about trichologist or trichology. They don't really know what that is. And then you have your dermatologist. So then some people who do know the trichologist is like, okay, well, what's a dermatologist? When do I need to go to one? So trichologist, that's the one that specifically studies the hair and the scalp. Like that's what their main focus. Whereas your dermatologist, now they also have studied hair, but they have a more broader focus, I want to say. Like they not only study hair, they study the skin and burns. So they focus on the whole body of a person, whereas your trichologist, we strictly focus on the hair and scalp diseases, the hair anatomy. And so another difference between a trichologist and a dermatologist is that the dermatologist, they have that medical license behind them, like medical doctor, like MD. So they are able to write your medical prescriptions. They're able to do scalp biopsy. So that's one of the ways that they can use to technically diagnose you and officially say, okay, Devin has, alopecia, or Precious has, alopecia. So that's what they can officially do. Me being a certified trichologist, my background, I'm more so focused on the holistic approach. What I mean by holistic is I believe in doing what we can naturally and making our body do what it's supposed to do on its own. So I would more so recommend and focus on the nutrition, the supplements, the wellness piece, dealing with emotions. So I'm looking at the whole body, mind, body, spirit, soul, not just, treating the hair. So that's where you really get into the difference, and you really got to determine, okay, do I want to go to the dermatologist or do I want to see a trichologist? Another determining factor could be for you, with most people, is that a trichologist may not accept insurance, whereas your dermatologist does. And so people like to take the easier route to go with a dermatologist. So that's just something that you want to weigh, the pros and cons. So I will say, you just want to be mindful of that and just make sure you have the education about it, and just be mindful, because what I'm finding is that even though you go to the dermatologist, um, I'll just put it like this, like they'll give you, like I just mentioned, they'll give you like prescriptions or encourage you to get, the scalp injections, and so it's something, and that's like a catch 22 that may or may not work. And that's like just putting a band-aid on the problem, so to speak, instead of addressing it head on and looking at internally what is going on. Why isn't Precious's body doing what it's supposed to do? Why isn't Devin's body not absorbing her nutrients? So that's the difference, to give you guys some background.
So it kind of sounds like it'd be smart for most people to see both the dermatologist and a trichologist. Like if you really want to fix the problem, unless, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't. Okay. So,
Mm-hmm.
my first real question would be, so what I would say, somebody comes in, my hair is thinning. One, I'm going to tell them my opinion, but I style hair. I am not a doctor. So I always
Right.
say you should see, I should always say you should see a doctor, because the first things we go to are like, have your hormones checked and your thyroid checked and all that stuff. Is that the smartest thing for us, or should we be sending them maybe to a dermatologist first?
Again, that's going to be left up to what that individual really needs at that time, because if they have already been to their physician, then they would need to go to their dermatologist. So if you send them to their physician, the physician doesn't really specialize in that. Like, again, they're a general person, so they may not be able to officially give a definitive diagnosis of what that person is going through. So yeah, I would say maybe start with the dermatologist, but if they have already been to their physician, sometimes their physician does go ahead and give them a treatment for their hair, or give them a script, I should say. But start off with your dermatologist. But yeah, we do work together as a team. So it's always good to have a dermatologist and a trichologist in your team, as well as your hairstylist. Because then when you got all of us working together, you increase your chance of your hair coming back.
Hello, Leela. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And I think that's important to point out because I hear all the time, my doctor's checked all my blood work and I'm okay. And I'm guilty of it. I'm like, well, the doctor's checked it. It must be okay. And I think that's the missing step is that sometimes they need to see somebody that actually specializes in that, not somebody that just does blood work and says, all your blood work looks okay. Because I think we all have stories of whether it's autoimmune disorders or whatever it is, that it takes years to actually discover things. And it's really just about your body as a whole. So I think that's important for people to, you know, to really hear what we're saying is that, sometimes that why you might need to refer to somebody, it's not always just the doctor and do blood work. And just because the doctor said to you that your blood work is okay, it might be okay, but that's not their specialty. And I think that's important for us all to like I said, actually hear it. So my first question would be, so now I know I need to refer to a dermatologist or a trichologist. I keep saying trichologist, but trichologist. Well, I'm sure I'm not the only one. But how does one find, like, what am I looking for? I mean, because a hairstylist, you don't just open the yellow pages or what used to be yellow pages, find one to pick it. So how does somebody pick one? What am I looking for? What kind of certifications are out there? And then my next question is too, it sounds like from your approach that you could help people virtually, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I gave up my clinic, and so I went ahead and now I'm doing everything online virtually.
Okay. So so anybody that's watching tonight, if like I have a client that's sitting in my chair today and is having concerns, I could have them just reach out to you and you could start the process as far as in your end of it, correct?
Yeah, yeah, I do offer like 20-minute complimentary evaluation sessions. So if they just wanted to just talk things out and just get guidance on which direction to go, yes, I can help them with that.
Okay. And then for somebody that really wants to see somebody in person, because you're in Missouri, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So if somebody wants to see somebody in person, what would be the accreditations or things I might look for to know that somebody I really want to see and trust what they're telling me?
Actually, so that's just going to depend, but normally you would go in and see like their certifications on their wall. Like I said, for a trichologist, we aren't licensed medical doctors, so you won't necessarily see a license on the wall, but you're more so likely see, where we got our certification from. And then if we decided to go a step further, like I did, you may see a board certification because I decided to get my certification as a holistic health practitioner. And so that's where I got my credentialing, like, and for like as far as like the nutrition, the wellness, the holistic piece, because I wanted that complete package just to, show to my clients that I went a step further with my educations. But just because someone may not have all that credentialing, that doesn't mean that they can't help you. So it's really going to boil down to, do you as the client, feel comfortable having them guide you on your journey, and are they able to, address your questions? Do you feel comfortable? And I will say, always make sure that you're forthcoming, when you go talk to the specialist, the trichologist, whoever you're talking about, because that's another thing that I have found as well, that some people are not really forthcoming and really saying, what they've been doing to their hair outside of being at the salon, or they're not totally truthful on that. So you definitely want to make sure that you do your research, do your due diligence, and then just be truthful when you're in your consultations, because that's where we really are here to help you and get this resolved.
Okay. So I think this is a good time to kind of, like, I want to ask one, and I kind of know the answer, but what are some good books or classes that you might recommend a hairstylist or anybody that's interested just to kind of amp up our knowledge a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. I got a couple. Hang on just a second.
Denise, thanks for letting me know. I'm not sure if it's both of us with the bad connection or just one of us.
Um, One of my favorite books here is Digestive Wellness, and it's by Elizabeth Lipinski. And she talks about digestive wellness, and she really goes and do a good job in talking about the how to strengthen your immune system, what to do to prevent diseases. And so it's a lot of good information in there. This is a really good start for not just, hairstylists, but just regular layman's people as me and yourself. And then also you can use me as a resource. I also have my own book that I wrote, and it's really a quick read. It's available on Amazon, so it's Hair Growth Starts Within. And so I go in and talk about, my hair journey, how I've overcome not only hair loss, but, being overweight, pre-diabetics, high blood pressure. So how I was able to deal with all that. I break down, myths about taking supplements. I give strategies on just how to start your own hair regimen, and give guidance on that. Um, and then I would say, just like for your own personal research, like whatever you're experiencing, don't be afraid to just get online and do your research, or even go to your local library. There's plenty of books and topics in there, things that you can look at. So if there's a particular topic that you're interested in, that's where you get your start. That's how I got my start. And so this book that I just recommended to you, this is one of my favorite books, because this is one of the books that I got taught on in my training. So
I don't know
so
why
those are
you didn't start. I mean, you're supposed to start with your book. When you wrote a book, you start with your book, Precious. But I'm gonna
no,
say I read the I I loved it. And I don't have the physical copy. I bought the digital copy. But I really
okay.
loved reading. And
Thank
in the
you.
back of it, it does have other suggestions for reading. I actually put one of them on my Christmas list that I got that I'm looking at that I got to get out and start reading too. So I'm excited about. So that I feel like that gives some people at least some direction with a couple things, because I think we all wish cosmetology school would have taught us everything, but it just didn't. Because I was saying that before you joined,
Correct.
even about what I do, we're not taught curls or anything special. It's one kind of haircut, and that's what you teach. Um,
Right. Mm-hmm.
so one of the things is I'd like to talk about, like, maybe what is some of the top 4 or 3 or 5 reasons people experience hair loss.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So that kind of backs up to what I was talking about earlier. So I just want to point this out before we even get into that. So, um, ladies, so like whenever you go to your stylist, like, one, we're not magicians. And so you have to be very truthful and forthcoming, with what you're going on and do at home. So one of the things that affects hair loss is, it's just really simple. It's just drinking water. Like, you will be amazed at how many people I talk to just in general, and like they won't drink water. Just for instance, I had did a complimentary session earlier today, and I was talking to one lady, and she told me she just drinks coffee most of the day, at least like 8 cups. And so as I'm talking to her, and I'm like, where is the water? And she was like, well, I know I need to drink water. And I was like, well, yeah. I'm like, for every cup of coffee that you're drinking, you need at least 2 bottles of water to cover it, to replenish that. So when you're dehydrating your body big time. So it's like starting off with the stuff just at home, just the basics. And then the second thing from water is your nutrition. Like, a lot of the symptoms that you're experiencing, a lot of that can be alleviated. It's just on water and diet. alone. Then next up would be exercise. Like, I know people don't like to hear it, but I'm not saying that you have to, be exercise, an hour a day or however many, 90 minutes a day. That's not what I'm talking about, but just some sort of physical activity to keep your organs, everything functioning, because that's important. Because if your organs and body isn't functioning, you're not moving around, then you're having a hard time eliminating, you're having a hard time getting those toxins out your body, which means, okay, now you're constipated because you're not getting those toxins out. So guess what? So now it's sitting in your stomach. So now you got digestive issues. So it's just compiling one thing on top of another. And then that is how you start seeing things going on with your hair, because it's like a domino effect. Your body isn't getting the nutrients and minerals that it needs, so it's being sucked up, taken away by other things. And so now your hair is your barometer of health. So you can gauge like what your health condition is doing by your hair. So if you know you're not eating and drinking right, doing what you're supposed to do, that's a big indication there. Another example would be like just our physical environment. So as Devin mentioned earlier, right now the COVID is going on, so there's a lot of stress. So guess what? So now that's affecting your emotional health as well as your adrenals, your kidneys, everybody's fatigued, because now we're all in that fight or flight mode, because you're just fearful. You don't know what's going to happen next. You don't, you turn on the TV, things are still getting worse, or you get some news that, a family member has got it. And so you're just like you're going to see the hair loss. So that is like, you may not experience it now, but 3 months from now, you'll see the after effects. And you're like, when did my hair start falling out? And it's because, that now your hair growth cycle is out of balance, because you just been in this fight or flight mode for what it's going to be almost a year now we've been dealing with this. So now because we just don't know, we're just on edge. We got the ledge, we got the election coming up, and then just simple, just the regular pollutants like our environment, just going out, breathing air, the lungs, just that. It's just a lot of things that compile. And then don't get me started if you're like, as Devin mentioned earlier, we're getting older, our bodies are changing, and then so if some women are starting to hit, pre-menopause, or they're already in menopause, now you got to deal with that. So that can have an effect on your hair, because now your hormones are balancing out. You may be having more testosterone. So if you have more testosterone going on in your body, so now you got that DHT, and that DHT is, shrinking the follicles, so now it can't grow. So it's just could be a number of things that could stem on the hair loss. So it's not just going to be just one thing. You have to look at, again, everything as a whole.
Well, it's funny because just listening to you, it just reminds me of how much of, I'm just going to say, a shitstorm this year was when it comes to our bodies and hair loss. Really, because everything you just named off, because when you're stressed out, if you're an emotional eater, you eat more, or maybe you drink more, and then you're eating more poorly because you're at home all day and you're sitting in front of the TV and snacking all day. It's a hamster wheel of a cycle that,
Yep.
I'm sorry, but nobody's going to give you a supplement or a shampoo to fix
Yep.
the problem. The problem is it took a hamster wheel to get there. You got to go back through the hamster wheel to fix it. And that's what everybody, I don't think, needs. And Denise, you're correct. She's just saying it. You have to take care of yourself because you can't control everything. And that's absolutely. So I'm just going to say here too. And part of Precious, why I read your book, I said if anybody that's known me, so in 2019, I was almost 240 something pounds. I started the keto diet and I lost 70 pounds.
Wow.
And yeah, and I'm very proud of that. But what I'm gonna say is, even though I had somebody helping me, I don't want to say lost along the way, but I wasn't doing it right. And it happened quick. and my adrenals suffered. You know, and it was me not doing what I should be doing, not the lack of instruction coming to me, because
Yeah.
my health person was definitely telling me these, but I was seeing weight loss, so I was going to do it regardless. And it hit me in the butt. I had a huge shed cycle.
Yep.
I lost a lot of hair. And this year I had some more shedding. I still have a lot of healthy hair, and I don't mind showing everybody, but you can see my ends are very sparse down here. But if you get under here, it's thick still. So I know that I have done things to kind of repair. But this
Yeah.
year happened, not being able to go to the gym, being at home all day long. I put 25 pounds back on. And so now I've restarted keto. It's just part, but I'm trying to do it the right way. And part of
Yeah.
that is the whole body. So I'm very aware of my adrenals and all of these things that you're talking about, because I'm perimenopausal now. So go figure, So, so much about my body and my life has changed in the last year and a half that you have to take all that into the account
Yeah.
of what your treatment is and what that looks like, because what works for me may not work for Precious, and vice versa.
Correct.
It's with hair stuff too. So I want to sidetrack. So we had a question from Christy from Reflections Inspired. She's part of my beauty crew. So she was kind of asking, yeah, so in our industry, if somebody is suffering breakage, things like that, we throw protein at it immediately. Is that would you say that that's the right thing to start with all the time, or is there more involved to that?
I would say it's more involved, because you got to look at, how long have they been wearing color? And again, it goes back to, what are they doing at home, not in your presence, because if you equip them how to take care of the color or whatever style that they went, when they left you, it's like, okay, what are they doing? So it's not always necessarily that they need protein. It could be something else internally, like just eating right, and that, like I said, again, that's going to play the big part. If they're not eating, their vegetables like they need to be doing, or if they're like what, Devin was just saying, if they're doing some sort of, different diet, or they're intermittent fasting, or they're on one of these other diets, you got to take all of that into effect. And so don't be so quick just to throw some protein at it, because that's not always the case. You got to make sure, you're asking those right questions, what they're doing to their hair.
And I don't want to get too sidetracked from our actual topic, but I want to throw in, just from knowing curls and curl health, that a lot of times, and as more curl groups are growing, people are hearing the word protein. I need protein, or I have moisture or protein overload. And what I want people to be mindful of is too much moisture can feel like it needs more moisture, or too much protein can feel like it needs more protein. It's part of doing consultations as a whole to discover, is it coming from the inside out, or is this something externally that's going on? Now, we all know that if Karen is using her flat iron at 450 degrees on her baby fine hair and no heat protection, it's probably mechanical. It might not be much body. But if they're like, I hear it all the time, I let my hair air dry, I don't use this, I don't do that. So the first thing I go to, how much water do you drink a day? Are you eating okay? I know you don't want to hear this anymore, and sometimes you have to do as I say and not as I do, but it's important what goes in and what comes out. So I think it's Christy's laughing at me for our answers here, by the way. I think that's part of what's missing in our industry as a whole, is just having those consultations and asking the things that we should be asking. Because even if I can't help them, it's my responsibility to send them where they can get help, or for me to get more education to help them. And I think that's so much of what's missing about a lot. So, like I said, I think that's, when we come into even the treatments and stuff, what goes in is what comes out, and what happens on the scalp is what goes in and what comes out. Healthy scalp is healthy hair. People talk about, I got dry scalp. It ain't dry scalp 9 times out of 10. It's product buildup because you're not cleansing your scalp.
Absolutely right. You gotta preach. You gotta preach.
That's why I was kind of saying I felt like you and I would have a series. I don't think this will be the only time we're on together because
Right.
I think this
Hmm.
can be an ongoing thing, and it's stuff that us as hairstylists need to hear
Yeah.
and practice it. We need to practice it for ourselves, and we need to practice it behind the chair. And if you don't know, ask, because some of this stuff I don't know, or I thought I knew, and I'm getting
Yeah.
clarification. Or it's that aha that I just needed the reminder of, well, yeah, that's exactly why do I not think about that? I apply this in this
Hmm.
scenario, but I don't apply it in this scenario. So, the other thing that I had wrote down, and without you having to get into too much detail, the question, so you brought up DHT. So I am under the impression that if you have hair loss, it's because you're producing too much DHT, and that's attaching to whatever and making the hair come out. So
Hmm.
then we have products in the salons that were taught that stop DHT or block it. So
Yeah.
my question is I don't even want to necessarily bring a brand in. You're welcome to recommend anything that you like, but
Hmm.
I want to be careful not to, I don't want to say throw somebody under the bus, but I want to have a clear conversation about what we're really talking about. But
Yeah.
realistically, I mean, I guess it kind of comes back to what we were saying. If they run to the store and buy Rogaine with
Hmm.
minoxidil in it, even if it fixes the temporary problem, if what's going on the inside isn't fixing it, you're still fighting a losing battle regardless. Correct?
Right. Correct. It's like
So,
putting a band-aid on it. You're not really fixing it, you're just putting a band-aid on it.
so do you believe that there are products on the market that can actually like block the DHT? And I really want to have a whole nother conversation about DHT with you one day and kind of how all this kind of comes about if you're open to that. But
Hmm.
like, I mean, we have stuff that we recommend, and I feel like I see benefits with some people, but maybe not with others, and vice versa. So I'm just kind of curious if you have insight on, do these things work? Do they not work at all? Do they only work on for some people because of this? Does that kind of make sense what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah, it makes sense. So that's where the water, I want to say, gets murky because like you'll have these product companies and they're push it, saying that it works, but what it all gonna boil down to is what that person's body wants to do and are they able to absorb those supplements and those vitamins, those minerals. And just like with anything, you have to do it consistently. So I will say we're in a microwavable society. Everybody wants a quick fix. They want instant results. So even if you do go to use like any of those products, Rogaine, whatever have you, you have to use those products consistently every day for at least a minimum 6 to 9 months if you want to see results. Now I will say this. For like those types of products where you have to have like a cream and you're rubbing them on, like you can't like miss, like you have to stick with that every day. And then you also want to consider if you stop taking those type of supplements or you stop those topical treatments, then eventually over time your hair will revert back to the shedding or the hair loss that you're doing, because the only thing that those type of products is doing is helping you stay in the anagen phase a little longer. So for those that don't know, the anagen phase is the growth phase. That's the longest growth phase that it is. But it's truly boiling down to what is going on in your body. If you're having a hormone, if you're, having your hormones change or you're taking extra estrogen or progesterone, like all that's gonna play into it. So you can't, just treat one thing topically and think it's gonna help with your hair. If you're gonna take that approach, then you gotta work on the inside as well as the outside, and you have to use the products. I think we get caught up, in society where we think, there's so much out on the market, and I'm gonna try because Devin's hair is super curly, so I think I'm finna try what Devin's using. There's no way I'm gonna be able to get the same curls Devin's got because we got different textures of hair, and so it's all just gonna boil down to what that person's biochemistry is. But to me, I haven't really seen like some actual true hair regrowth results from those type of products. I mean, if it is, it's been short term, and like I said, it's only been that peach fuzz. They'll say, "Oh, Precious, my hair is starting to grow back," and I was like, "Okay, well, continue to use it," and then they'll turn around and come back and say, "Oh, well, it all fell out," and I was like, "Well, did you stop using it? What changed? What happened?" So you just want to be mindful of that, of those products, and it's like there is no quick fix.
Right. And unfortunately, we're very much a society of wanting it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think too, the thing to point out, one, you said 6 to 9 months for that. And I think
Yeah.
people, what we have to remember is, and you were kind of saying it earlier. In other words, if it takes 3 months on average for you to have like
Yes.
a stressful event to see it come out in your hair and things like that, we need to be mindful of a lot of what we go through is not 1 or 2 days of stress. Like this year, and I hate to keep coming back to that, but we are all very familiar with what that topic is. It's been a year, it's still ongoing. So things that I feel like maybe I might have been able to do, let's just say something happened and I was stressed about it. I got the heat broke or whatever, and I got it
Mhm.
fixed. And now that I'm moving forward, it was a very short circumstance and I can recover from that faster. This is something that's much longer that's going to take even more to recover from. So I would think that, let's just say whatever shampoo or treatment, if it says 6 to 9 months, it might be
Mhm.
9 to 12 months now because we're still going through this. Your body is still in that fight or flight mode. It's scared, we're
Yeah.
in that caveman mentality of, run and hide and your pupils are dilated. And, there's just so much more to that. And if you
Mhm.
think about it, this year, even the little stuff is so much more stressful than before because we're already in fight mode all the time. And it makes
Mhm.
it harder, I think, to catch up. So I think, whatever we're doing this year, we have to have patience with that. We have to be mindful of, that our bodies have experienced a lot, that our scalp needs more care, or, might take longer, but that's
Mhm.
okay. And just know that when you're taking your time, you're probably more than likely fixing a problem and not just band-aiding the problem, which band-aids are
Correct.
okay if you started, but sometimes you got to fix the whole problem before you just stick a band-aid on it and think it's done.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely camouflage. And camouflage will only last you for so long, but eventually you're gonna have to address it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh. Well, I think that's all my questions for tonight. So I thought maybe you can tell everybody where they can find you and if they're interested in reaching out to you for extra help, how that they can do that and what that kind of looks like.
Oh, most definitely. So you guys can follow me here on Instagram at Dirty Hair Secrets. Also, you can catch me every week. I do a podcast. I just launched it last year, so it's called the Dirty Hair Secrets Podcast. So I give great information on there, and I have wonderful guests that come on. And so not only do I talk about hair, but I talk about, the whole woman as a whole, as what we go through. So I talk about that emotional and physical piece of it as well. So, talk about, everything that could comes up. So that'll be released every Tuesday and Friday. I have episodes that come out, so you can find it on any of your I guess outlets wherever they play podcasts. I'm on those as well. And then for anyone that again wants to have like that complimentary 20-minute hair and wellness evaluation, just go to www.helpmewithmyhair.com. So that's helpmewithmyhair.com, and just schedule a date and time, and we can get together, chit chat about what you're experiencing, and then we can go from there.
Yeah. And if you think about it, Precious, this evening or tomorrow when you have time, if you don't mind sending me a message that has the books in it, your podcast name, and how they can find you, the things that we talked about, I
Oh
will
yeah.
reshare that as a post here on Instagram. So everybody that kind of missed it, because like the book titles are backwards, they can go back and find that and they can find you for, and you heard her, a 20-minute free consultation. So make sure you take her up on that. I've talked to her to a couple of my clients. I don't know if anybody's taken me up on it yet, but I'm hoping that after tonight and then, some people meeting her and seeing her and hearing her, that they will reach out for that, because my goal would be that, that Precious can help them with the inside and she can kind of guide me to what I need to be doing more on the outside too, and vice versa. I can share with her what I'm seeing and experiencing and kind of working together with that, because ultimately that's the way to make it work. We just got like 100 hearts, so yay. So yeah, so everybody, this video will be in my IGTV. I think Miss Precious is going to try to download it and reshare that, so it'll be on her page too eventually. But I will reshare a post. I'll put the links in there and all that kind of stuff. It may be tomorrow evening, even the next day before we get it all put together, but it will be there so you guys can get to that. Feel free in the downtime to message me or Precious One. Let us know that you enjoyed this video or this live, and let us know what other topics or questions that you might have that we can come back and talk about or elaborate on more that we might have touched base on tonight. I know that we all have busy lives, and I want to try to keep everything to roughly 30 minutes or so. So when you're watching it, everybody has time to do that. And I know sometimes when I get too much information and it gets lost with me. So I kind of just wanted to get the ball rolling tonight and get us started, and hopefully, get some people on the right track and answer even more questions. So thank you so much, Precious, for joining me tonight. I really do appreciate it. I know we've talked about it a couple times, and I think, was it December or November that I messaged you out of breath because I was walking the neighborhood, and I was like, I know this isn't professional, but can you join me live and we can talk about hair loss? And it's funny, but that's really the truth, because it was on my mind, and I think the most when I'm doing things like that, and that when I had to address it, and that's what I did. And then in hindsight, I'm like, she's gonna think I'm crazy, but then she says I do the same thing, so I don't worry about it afterwards. So
yeah.
So all right, Precious, I will let you go. Thank you so much, and I'm sure I'll be in touch with you soon. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, guys. You guys take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So thanks everybody that's still on here. Thanks for joining and listening. I really do appreciate it. I hope that you enjoyed it. Feel free to shoot me any suggestions for any other topics you'd like to talk about, because even if it's not with Precious and hair loss, I'm sure that I know somebody that will sit here with us and have these conversations and help us all grow this year, so that 2021 is better than any other year that we've had before. So I'm going to sign off, and I will see you guys soon.